Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is D.C. Copeland. Gosh, have we got a lot to talk about today. Societal Dropout. She's written this wonderful book, Societal Dropout, a Cultural Manifesto, and each chapter is a standalone essay inspired and informed by her experience answering questions. So Q&R. The book gives voice to truths many of us feel that we don't know how to articulate. Topics I explore including mental health, happiness, critical thinking, creativity, gender, sex, suicide, drugs, art, etc. And we're going to cover it all today. She's writing for those who need to witness and testify what we do, live in the dark times, and how the hackeyed methods used to motivate us are not working. And she writes for readers that want to listen to a story about overcoming the conventions of contemporary culture, the psychology of spiritual illness fostered by it. Her manifestos for college-age students who are looking for fodder to feed their own inner rebellions and revolutions, and artists who love art and academics and who love and are immersed in academia, mental health, and who feel their voice is underrepresented in a contemporary culture. Her work is for the normal everyday person who experiences society, not giving a rat's tail about themselves as individuals, but for the individual to simply unsatisfied with the care of the society provides. Lots to talk about here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that we've got to be, and especially kind of millennials and below, it's like, oh, you got us into this mess. I don't want to know. Right. And it's like, oh, I'm just not going to hear la, 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 la. And then it'll be, what happened? So we have to address that. But first, let's talk about DC. What does that stand for? What's the story behind the title there?
I think it's so DC stands for Deborah Connie. I could say something cute like daring cutie or diabolical criminal. But yeah, when I was in my 20s, I started to want to get poems published. And I found that as Deborah, I got less poems published, and as DC, I would get more poems published. And several times, oh, you're such a sensitive fellow. What an interesting man. Oh, and when I would get, they would ask for my bio, and I would give my bio, and I would refer to myself at that time, I still do, as a she, her. And I would get back, oh, well, they would still publish it, of course. They wouldn't want to take it back, but they would think I was a man. And it's happened several times. And as a writer and someone who wants to get their voice out more than anything, I became DC Copeland, and it allowed, and people do know that I'm female. I look female, and I speak from a feminine perspective, but I think in the collective mind, we still unfortunately live in a patriarchy. Men are still the more powerful sex. We suppress it, and we try to pretend it's all over, and the battle of the sexes never happened, and it's still not happening. But it's very much alive, and people are still very much biased, and they think a woman's voice should be a certain way, right?
Yeah. I don't know what way they think it should be, because quite honestly, we have so many powerful women's voices out there that have literally changed society and the way we think. And it's like, what decade are you still living in?
Yeah.
Because if you're in the current decade, you would see that truly, I have a new show genre that I've opened up called The Sisterhood of Common Sense Love. And for all the men that love and support them, there is a reason behind this genre. It's for people I will interview that will pay it forward, that will be there to support those that are going to be caught in the fallout. But we need that common sense, mama, roll up her sleeves, come from a place of love, and this is what really is going to happen. And we have to step into that because rhyme, reason, chaos. I mean, it's we're going for a tsunami, tornado, and a hurricane all at once. And as people getting spat out left, right, and center, we've got to be ready to pick them up. No blame,
Yeah.
no shame, but pick them up, fortify them and show them the right direction.
Yes. And that direction, what is that direction? I think it comes into that sense of where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Ask you as an individual
Yes.
person.
Oh, what a concept. Because we like to clump everybody as a you fit in this box, you fit in that box. And it's like, I've battled that my entire life. And I'm sorry, no box.
No box.
I'm quite diversified. I'm quite varied. But really what you want to address is what's the core of the person?
Yeah.
Their compass, their core, their heart, their soul, their spirit, from where they come.
And I think a lot of people don't know themselves.
No.
Is their core. We're not really teaching people to ask that question. It's much more outer directed, right? It's much more like, well, at this age, you should be at this level. And by this time, you should have accomplished X, Y, and Z. And by the time that you're 30, you should be a mother and have an successful marriage. And if you're not, I mean, this is just from a female indoctrination perspective.
Yes.
A different indoctrination if you're a man, but there's a certain indoctrination of like, these are the milestones you need to be hitting.
And if you don't, you're a failure.
Don't, you're a failure. Exactly.
Yes.
You
Yes.
failed at this game called life. You.
Who wrote that script?
Well, we know it. You and I both know it. We speak it. I guarantee the listeners going, yeah, I have those milestones. Yeah, I feel bad when I'm not having a good day. What is a good day these days?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it one that you just don't feel completely out of your mind, stressed out, depressed, and hopeless and helpless?
Yeah.
I think it's got to that point where people feel like that, and you've had a day where you actually don't feel that 100% of the day. It might be down to 80.
And unfortunately, that is the daily existence that so many people are experiencing right now. I think it's like 1 in 4 people identify as having an anxiety disorder or ADHD or a bipolar disorder or depression or post-traumatic stress disorder or alcoholism or drug addiction. 1 in 4, or even, it could be even higher. I don't know. But it's like either the listener knows somebody suffering from a mental disorder. And we think that we are living in a healthy society. How can we be living in a healthy society if we're all sick in some way, if we're all mentally disturbed, if we've all like lost it, if we're all just trying to keep it together,
Where's the glue?
Where's the glue? That's good. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. It's I mean, I'm 70, so I'm at the other end of the scale, but I have millennial kids. So I've got 36, 40, and 42. My son just got married just before his 40th. My daughter, 36, has 2 young children. And my 42-year-old is a free spirit butterfly. For her, it's about living life, right?
Yes.
And it's like, well, you should have got married at 20. You should have been this. You should have been that. No, let's take that should. It doesn't fit into today's society. And last year, I produced a book called Our Forgotten Children. And it was an anthology of people contributing to the system that is broken in raising our children. So if we have disconnected or dysfunctional adults, we need to turn around and look at how we've raised them. And not put blame and shame, but understand that the system is desperately broken. We're not supporting families. Where is the community? The village where everybody looks out for each other. Kids live in fear all the time. Parents live in fear of their kids all the time. The school system, it sucks, and teachers are leaving left, right, and center because the curriculum is not representing today's life or their future. And then, of course, you've got the social media aspect and so much more. And is that what would you expect? What do you expect?
Everybody's walking around with their earbuds all the time.
Yes.
Nobody's like the idea of community, what you said, right? Where's the village?
Yes.
Where's the village? Where's the care? where's the feeling that I am cared about? So many people feel so alienated,
I know.
so distressed, so
Yes.
uneasy, so diseased, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With where they're at, and nobody seems to really care. And we're doing these mixed messages, right? We're like giving people so many drugs, right? The pharmaceutical industry is like the most
Thriving.
it's thriving, it's doing
Yeah.
great. But we're also stigmatizing people that take drugs too.
Yes.
We're saying it's really, you should really get off that drug, but here are some drugs. Like
Yes.
it's a mixed message.
The pharmaceutical has become the legal drug pusher,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they're
Real drug.
creating
Yeah.
addicts. Yeah.
Creating addicts. I just had an experience where I was in the hospital for quite a while before. I just had my appendix out, but before that, I actually was in the hospital. I had sepsis, right? Which
Mm.
blood, a blood
Yes.
infection, and
Yes.
people die of it, and it was horrible. And very lucky to still be here. But the appendix ruptured then. I had to keep going back and forth to the hospital. And the freedom with which they prescribed and give out
Uh-huh.
morphine and
Mm-hmm.
Dilaudid
Mm-hmm.
shocking,
I know.
is shocking.
I know.
Is I would go in with pain, and I had never taken any of these heavy drugs before, but I get it. I
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I mean,
Yes.
uh, and so the hospitals, though, one time they released me from I was admitted several times because they
Why
couldn't.
didn't they take it out? I'm sorry. Why
So
didn't
they
they take
didn't
it
they,
out?
they didn't take it out because an abscess had formed, and an abscess is
Ah.
like a ball of liquid infection, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very large. It prevents the body from getting septic, so that's good.
No,
But it's
yeah.
so large that they wanted to shrink it. In
You're
normal
right.
cases, what they do is they shrink. So I was admitted several times, around the clock antibiotics, and
Mm.
also pain
Yes.
management,
Yes.
Dilaudid, IV Dilaudid, and IV morphine. And they would release me with antibiotics and Dilaudid for breakout pain. And now I am very afraid of drug addiction, and I
Mm-hmm.
talked to a lot of people about this, and so I was very, very cautious. If the thing that the reason I went back several times is that I didn't mask the pain with Dilaudid. Now, you can easily mask pain with these heavy narcotics, but something was really wrong. The abscess, if I had been masking the pain with the Dilaudid the whole time, then the abscess could have burst because it kept
Right. You're
getting
not
more.
paying attention to your own body and what it's
Not
telling you. Right.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
Sarah. So the abscess was actually saying, we need more antibiotics. We need
Right.
more intravenous antibiotics. So I would go to the
Yeah.
emergency room, not masking the pain, because I spoke to a doctor that's what they said. They
Mm.
were like, if you have to take Dilaudid, go to the emergency room. But the freedom every time I was released from the hospital, it was antibiotics and Dilaudid. And Dilaudid, I told my story to someone recently, and they were like, I met a girl who was given Dilaudid by a hospital at 14, and she became an addict and is still on it at 23 years old.
Wow.
At 23 years old, she was given Dilaudid by a hospital. And I I get it. I understand. But this
Yes.
is the mixed messages that we're giving our youth and each other, that
Yeah.
like that here's a bunch of pain medicine, mask the physical pain. And if it's
Yeah.
a psychological drug, mask the psychological drug.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not addressing the psychic sickness,
Yes.
the heart of the situation.
Right. And, one of the things that we really need to teach people to is listen to their body, mind, heart, and soul. You are a whole.
You're
You're
whole.
not a compartmentalized. Everything needs to work. Otherwise, everything then is dysfunctional. And so you have to pay attention to what your body is saying to you. I have another show genre called Your Health is Your Choice. And it is our choice to what kind of health we choose to have. And we can get a diagnosis. And Western medicine has its place. It's great at fixing things, but it's not good at maintaining or not having at all. So we need to be more proactive on how to sustain our own body and listen to our own body, listen to our own mind, and know when something is up. And
Yeah.
doctors and medical places need to start listening. I live in my body 24/7. I live in my mind 24/7. If I say something's up, it's up. Don't give me a drug to suppress it. Let's do some investigation as to what's causing it.
Yes. Yes. And unfortunately, the way I was treated at this hospital, at these hospital, like was very much like, here's some pain medication, come back if it hurts. Good luck. Good luck. What's causing it? That's the
Yeah,
question. Like,
yeah,
like, like
yeah.
a lot of people can't sleep these days, right? A
Yes.
lot of people are on sleeping medication, or they're self-prescribing CBD gummies for sleep.
Mhm.
You know, that's it's legal in New York. I mean, I'm speaking to you from New York. And well, maybe some of the reasons is that we're like twittering up until 11 o'clock at night. We're you know, we're stimulating ourselves with places that aren't even real, with people that we don't even know. And we're getting
Right.
all
And then getting into a fight and getting more anxious and getting more stirred up and getting more this and that. And then you can't sleep because the world feels like it's coming to an end.
the world feels like it's coming to an end, and you can't see, and maybe you feel like it's coming to an end,
Mm,
and like, and what can you do? And I'm sure a bunch of your listeners are taking sleeping medication, and I'm not.
mm,
This is how society runs right now. Like
right.
you come with a problem, like you can't sleep, and the solution is cure some drugs. And
Hmm.
that's like just, and these are good people that are like giving, like therapists and psychiatrists are
Right.
not bad people. They're not evil. They're doing the best they can within the tools that they've been given and in the school of thought that they have been trained in, right?
That's the key, the school of thought of what they've been trained in. No, I've
Right.
taken CB oil. I have fibromyalgia, and every now and again, the nothing works other than the CB oil for the pain. But there again goes as our responsibility. I take it when I absolutely need to, and when I don't need to, I don't.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
this is where we do need to have a certain amount of accountability. Oh, yes, it works. So I'm going to take it every day. A, it will stop working because you're taking it every day. Right. And B,
Right.
you're not listening to your body, or your body doesn't need it right now. So don't take it.
Accountability. That
Accountability. Mhm.
that is a word that doesn't get talked about very
No,
often.
no, no. I know.
Accountability. Can you be accountable to your own body?
I
Like, can
know.
you listen to your own body? What was so frustrating about this whole hospital experience was like, I knew something was wrong. Like, I knew
Mm,
they needed to take I saw my primary care physician today, and he was like, I am so angry at those doctors for not taking the appendix out because they first noticed it with the sepsis. They're like appendicitis, and,
mhm.
and then it ruptured, right? But they could have done something about it back in October. And I lived with an infection that could have
Oh,
been septic for 4 months. And I
wow.
and I survived it. I survived it, but the I mean I had Tylenol and Advil
Mm,
around the clock. I had a
mhm.
muscle relaxant called Roboxin, which I would take when there was breakout pain. They prescribed me a bunch of gelatin. I was very nervous to take it, but I did take it a few times because it was very hard, and I
Yeah.
was going back to the hospital when I took it. But
And then 4 months of antibiotics.
oh, and it was 4 months of antibiotics.
And
So
and now your system, it really does need a complete and utter cleanse in order to get rid of all the drugs that have been, soaked up in your system.
it has been it has been an epic journey. But the thing
Mm,
is, I knew what was so bad was like they had a protocol. The protocol was if there's an abscess, you must shrink the abscess to get, then you can take the appendix out. And I knew it wasn't getting shrunk, that
yes.
I knew that my appendix was so inflamed and horrible that it wasn't working.
Right.
And we managed it, like, because no one took it out. So I managed it for 4 months. But like, it was hell. It was
Mm,
absolute hell. I was so weak by that time. I'm speaking to you 10 days post-op, and I finally have some energy back. And then I saw my primary care physician, and I got IV antioxidants today. Oh, those
good,
are
good,
good.
good, good.
But I will say this, we live inside what you said earlier, we live
Yeah.
inside our bodies 24/7. We
Yes.
know what's going on. We know
Hmm.
what's going on. And like, and the doctors, I mean, I'm a fairly tiny person. So when I would get the MRIs and the CAT scans, they would be like, everything is folded up and we can't really see what's going on. I'm like, well, listen to me. Something
Yeah,
on,
exactly.
take this out. And their surgeons would be like, no, no, no. And like, I actually wrote a will, Sarah, because I was like, if this is what medicine can
Mm,
do, and this is the limits of medicine, then I'm kind of screwed right now because I know in my heart and soul something's wrong.
yeah.
And the after surgery, the surgeon apologized to me because he said, I'm so sorry that we weren't able to see how infected this was. Well, you had it was very infected. There were cysts everywhere. You must have been in extraordinary pain. And I'm like,
Hello.
hello, I spent 30 days out of 90 in the
Yes.
hospital. And
Hmm.
30 out of 90 in the hospital.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, back in 78, I had an ectopic pregnancy.
Oh my goodness.
And it was the doctor I saw who just said, "Oh, it's all in your head, take these antidepressants." And it's only when I kind of started internally bleeding and having to be rushed to hospital. And then it would come across, you're pregnant, you're not pregnant. And it was actually an intern that said, no, we're going to do a laparoscopy and look inside what the problem was, because all they did is put me on antibiotics. And he went in there and found that, dead baby in the tube, and they removed my tube and they removed my ovaries.
Oh my
My womb
God.
at this point was infected because it had been so long. And they told me you will never have children. So I've had 4 conceptions and 3 children since then that proved them
Wow.
wrong. Right.
Oh,
But it was just an arrogant doctor who wouldn't listen to the patient.
yeah.
Right. Now, I do know there are hypochondriacs that go in there over and over again. And you get to know who they are because it becomes that victimization of I need attention. And this is
Hmm.
the way I'm going to get it. But most people know when they're in pain, know when their body is out of sorts, and they should be listened to.
Yes.
This goes for mental health and physical health. And what we don't understand today, I'm considered a hypersensitive person. Fibromyalgia is a hypersensitive disease. I'm an empath, so that puts me as a hypersensitive person. And there's only so much negativity I can take around me before it saturates me, right?
Yes.
So, what we're not doing is allowing people to say, enough, I have to remove myself, or I
Yes.
cannot go there.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you don't care then, or you're a wuss, or you're a this, or you're a that. No, our journey of life is to get to know who we are, why we are, and what we're here to do. And in that self discovery of our own wisdom, our own joy, our own meaningful purpose, is to listen to ourselves from the inside out. I spent too many of my years with the outside living, being what everybody else wanted me to be at the cost of myself.
I know that feeling. Yes,
Mm,
Sarah.
right? So, no more, no more. We have to, as a nation, stand up and say, no, I know what I need. I know what I can contribute. I know who I am. I'm still in discovery because who I am right now, I will discover something else about myself down the road. And you are not going to dictate to me who I should be or manipulate my life. It is my choice.
It is my choice. My life is my choice.
Yes. Yes. And this is what's under battle right now is people's choice. What we're looking at is basically a bunch of people who are extreme narcissists. Um, but what is a narcissist? It's an inner child that felt unloved, unwanted, and
Yes.
having a tantrum of, I don't care who I hurt or who suffers as long as I get. And they seek power and they seek, opulence and they seek, everything else. It doesn't matter. You could give them the entire world, it would never be enough because they're looking for the outside life to fill them when really they need to find the courage and the strength to go inside and heal that inner child,
They need
right?
to, yes.
But instead of doing that, because they haven't got the strength or the courage to do it, they have stepped up with your fault, you're this, you're that. 3 fingers are pointing back at you.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Your accountability, your responsibility. What are you doing?
That's it, though. That's it. It's this idea of like every time you point the finger at someone else, three fingers are pointing back at you.
Yes. Yes. Even though with everything that's going on wrong right now, and we're looking at it and going, that is just so utterly inhumane. There's still those three fingers pointing back at us. As well, how are you going to step up?
How can it's your choice, like what you said.
Yes.
It's my
Yes.
choice to be here with you and talking about this, right?
Mm,
To talk about it's an empowering choice I get to make, just speak with my own voice and share
mm,
my own experience with you, who's also doing that. And hopefully to inspire the listener to say, like, wait, what is my
yeah.
experience? Am
Mm,
I being treated well? And if I'm not, like, the book I wrote is called Societal Dropout.
yes.
And it's about dropping out of the convention, allowing yourself to
Yes.
drop out of the conventional formula of what
The
makes
dysfunctional conventional.
the dysfunctional
Yeah.
conventional formula of what makes things A, B, C
Yes.
not okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
not okay. Because, and we're living in a world where I think most people don't have okay days. They're managing or they're
Mm-hmm.
coping.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Mm-hmm.
okay. And that's so sad. It's so
Yes.
sad. And I mean, one of the suicide rates and the drug addiction rates and millennials are rising.
Oh,
They're rising.
right. Yeah.
And overdosing is rising. And
Yes.
I mean, this is so close to my heart and sad because it's people wanting to not only kill themselves, but like check out, like
Yes.
that it's all too much. It's
Yes.
all too much. So we have to say, well, what is too much? Is it, what are our expectations of ourselves, And like, what are we expecting from other people? But really, what are we expecting from ourselves? Because we
Yeah.
can't manage other people,
No.
we're
We
powerless
can
over,
inspire other
we can
people.
inspire other people, right?
Mm,
But we can't manage other people
no.
and we're powerless over them. What we can do is ask our own hearts,
Mm-hmm.
what do you need right now, sweet innocent one?
Yes. Yes.
What is in your calling to say? What can you
Mm,
say? And it's like, and and I'll listen. And I'll listen, like to listen to ourselves. I mean, I'm not endorsing schizophrenia here. I think we each have like a soul or
yeah.
a God or a
Yes. 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 Yes.
whatever, this still quiet voice
Yeah.
inside of ourselves. And I think we're so outer directed and we got
Mm,
everybody's wearing the AirPods and we think, and to some extent a podcast is great. Look, I think this is a great podcast, but sometimes we are addicted to the outer
yeah.
voice, and hopefully I mean, I think what attracted me about your podcast was it's like, let me inspire you to go inside so that maybe after
Mm.
the podcast, you might put
Have
down,
that conversation in the mirror.
have the conversation like Michael Jackson, right? I'm
Yeah.
looking at the man in the mirror,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I
I'm
call it listen, learn, and apply.
I love
Right.
that.
So,
Listen.
when you listen, even if it's only one thing that you learn, one thing that captures you, that pivots you and made you question or made you want to know more, how do you apply it to your life? Right?
Yes.
Because we're all looking for answers. We're all looking for, but how?
How?
As so many people, I know there's shoot going on. I know, that they want me to feel powerless.
Yes.
How do I empower myself that I'm not a feather ready to be blown over, but I'm a tree that ain't going to bend?
I'm a tree that ain't going to bend. And I think that like, I think when we can connect with like who we really are, we realize how strong we are.
Yes.
Realize how strong we are. We can weather anything.
Yeah.
We can really weather anything. Like I was in insufferable circumstances over the past 4 months. It was
Mm-hmm.
horrible. But there was that still quiet voice that was like, well, this is what's happening. But I will say this. It was a brush. Sepsis is a brush with death. 11 million
Yes.
people die of sepsis every year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time where my body was dying. And I had this still quiet thought, and it was like, if this is the end, it was wonderful. It was good. It was good, and it's okay. And
It's a good measure of your life.
it's a good measure of my life.
Yeah.
And I was willing to let it go.
Yeah.
I was willing to let it go. And when you're willing to let it go,
Mm-hmm.
it really becomes like choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
It really becomes like your life. Like I want to be here talking to you right now. I could do anything I want. I could be,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to be here. I want to be, but like
It was
helping.
your choice.
It's my choice. I believe in a community.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that a community of listeners exists.
Yes. Yes. And you said the magic word, together.
Yes,
I've always drawn the analogy of the orchestra. So, our discovery is, what instrument am I? How do I play it? And you learn to play that instrument, and you can play solo very beautifully, and it can be very transcending. However, when we join an orchestra, each in our own strength, and we're willingly come together in harmony, we are transcending. We are a force that we can't do on our own. But that orchestra is not going to be strong without each one of our individual
yes,
participation. I'm wanting to create those orchestras. I'm wanting people to be out there that in their own strength and their own expertise to come together and share their wisdom, share their passion, share their love, because
yes.
that collectively together, whoo, 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 the ripple effect is wonderful.
I love that. It's a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Ripple effect. And right now the ripple is a dis-ease.
Yes.
It's dis-ease. And we are all sharing it and we're all talking about it. And I open the newspaper and it's just
Mm,
just
yeah.
despair.
Yes.
The
But we have a
mood
choice.
we
Let's
yeah,
be the
we do.
antibiotic.
I love that. Let's be the antibiotic. Let's be the vitamin E.
Yes. Yes. But we can't do that if we go down the rabbit hole. And,
Right.
I literally did a show before this because I do my own show every week on basically be aware of what's going on. You can't turn a blind eye to it, right? We have to acknowledge what's going on. But the more you step into your own empowerment and joy, you become the solution that fights what's going on,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. The
The
more
more
you
happy you are, the more you share that happiness out with other people and then lift everybody up.
and it lifts everybody up and people start to believe in themselves again.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And that believing in yourself and believing in humanity and believing in community and believing that we can,
Yes, we
right?
can. Yeah, we
We don't have to pick up a pitchfork or a gun. We can
no.
do this with common sense love.
And it's such a loving thing to say. And it's such a
Yeah.
loving thing to believe. And it's such
Yeah.
a loving, yeah.
And that's the thing about, I know that, a lot of millennials don't vote or don't get involved in politics, so don't want to look at the dysfunction of their lives. They look at their parents, you screwed it up for me. We look at the people in the past, you screwed it up for us. And basically what it is that we allowed opulence and greed and this, we bought into this more is more,
Yeah.
right? Instead of understanding less is where the abundance is, because you can concentrate on the gift that you have. The more you have, the less appreciative you are. And then you're constantly seeking for more.
Yes. Yes.
When
It's
is enough enough?
when is enough enough? Oh, yes. Sorry. Before. Let me just tell him I'm on the podcast. I'm so sorry.
Okay. When is enough enough? I mean, for all of us, when are we going to say enough is enough? My voice must be heard.
When is enough enough? When can my voice be heard? I've heard that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And enough is enough is kind of, I think everybody gets to have that at least one of those moments in
Yes.
their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's a healthy thing to say enough is enough. It's a healthy thing. And maybe you have a few sleepless nights over it. Maybe you need to pick up a journal and just start writing your heart and
Mm-hmm.
soul out. But I believe we're all taken care of. I think there's higher force at work. And that if we can, like, I think when we think about society and the formula and how we're supposed to be, we want to, it doesn't allow us the space to breathe,
No.
to really just say, like, who am I in this? Am I contributing from my
Yes.
heart and my soul?
Yes.
Am I being a force of good? Am I
Mm.
a goodness unto myself? Am I a goodness
Mhm.
unto others?
That's where it starts. You
Yeah.
can't give from an empty space. The old oxygenate yourself. I've actually just contributed a book about it. I'm not selfish. I'm easy to manipulate. And it's, we each had to contribute a chapter to that. And as I was brought up that, oh, that's selfish. You're just putting yourself first. You've got to sacrifice, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then, well, I sacrificed and I ended up becoming ill because of the sacrifice, because I was give, and no fortifying, right? We need to be selfish to the point where we look at ourselves with self-care,
Yes.
self-aware, and self-love. And the
Yes.
more we fill and enrich ourselves, that enrichment and that abundance of heart, soul, spirit, and meaningful purpose, the more our cup runneth over, the more we have to give.
Yes.
So we need people to be selfish to the point where I need to put myself first, not at the expense of you, but so that I can serve you better.
Yes. So that I can serve you better, so that I
Mhm.
can be better.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, sacrifice to they don't, you said you're an empath. And I think being
Mm.
an empath, I relate to that. I think I'm an empath, and there, you need to have solitude.
Yes. Oh boy, do we.
Because we're soaking up everybody's feelings like a sponge. And we have so much love to give because we know how
Hmm.
other people are feeling. I know when you're not feeling well. And if you're
Hmm.
saying I'm causing you to feel well, oh no,
Mm.
oh no, that devastates me.
Yeah.
I have to, kind of find my own equilibrium so that I'm not doing that. I want you to feel good. But if I'm off, I have to really, like, look inside. And I'll be honest, I've been in the hospital system for about 30 days out of the last
Mm.
90, a ridiculous amount of time. And when you're in the hospital system, there's so many strangers and so many
Hmm.
patients and so much emotions and so many feelings that it's very difficult to empathically attune to oneself and stay
Yes.
grounded in that situation.
Hmm.
And but I spoke to someone recently about this, and what they said was, like, it seems like, DC, you're experiencing rational anxiety. And
Hmm.
I was like, yes, this
Hmm.
is like an anxiety disorder. This isn't an anxiety crisis. There is
Yes.
a level of, like, other people's emotions and feelings that I've
Hmm.
soaked up. And every day that I'm not in the hospital, it gets a little better.
Hmm.
But it makes a little bit of sense why I'm drinking chamomile tea around the clock these days.
Yes, trying to find your center,
Trying
because
to
when we
center,
can go back into our
filter.
center, the core of ourselves, and we get back into, it's that deep breath. I am at one with self.
I am one.
However you want to get there, whether it's yoga, meditation, music, whatever it is that gets you there, that's not drugs. That you found a path to there. It's I'm just going to let this go because there's nothing I can do about it.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Not
There's
in that state. But if
no,
I'm in a state of peace and love, all of a sudden, I always say, when you're aware, you care. But you could start seeing solutions. You could start seeing things that you know that you can do, but you can't from a state of anxiety. You can't
no.
from a state of disillusionment or a state of despair, right? You have to get into that center of your own inner core peace. And from there, that's when the clarity begins.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, the peace that you can find by just being on your own, just being able to just,
Mm.
like, sit with yourself. I wish, I think just by talking about it and by coming from that place, it allows other people to realize that there is a space that beyond.
Mm.
the dysfunction, because my brain goes da 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 da, right, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a space where I'm witnessing the da 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 da, and I know it's not me.
Yeah.
There's a great yogi who I studied under. His name is Dharma Mitra. He teaches all over the world. He's in his 80s at this point. He's taught yoga for about 60 years. And one of the things he says, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful meditation if you can
Yeah.
get into that. It's just a
Yes.
beautiful meditation.
If we can understand this is the vessel in
Yeah.
which the essence of our heart and soul and
Mhm.
spirit is experiencing.
Yes.
Right. Again, if we could look at this as a vessel, whatever color, size, shape, or whatever else that we're given, is just to have the experience of that in this vessel. Right.
Just,
It doesn't
just
make me less than, doesn't make me more than. It is just purely the vehicle. When it comes down to it, what is the essence of your heart, your soul, your character, your spirit, or who you are as a human being that defines you, not the vessel?
not the vessel. No, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but what you can make a choice
Yeah.
to live more authentically in alignment with that still quiet voice and the goodness, the bliss, the creativity,
Yeah.
all of that. You can choose to live more in alignment with that.
Mm.
Um, Unfortunately, what seems to be happening more and more is that we live in a time where distraction has
Mm-hmm.
become are the way of life, as opposed to, oh, let's go to a movie and have a nice little
Yes.
vacation from a little trip, but now that the pandemic caused this, whatever, but it's streaming services. So there's
Mm-hmm.
all these different choices. You get home and you binge, it's called binge watching. It's
Yes.
a phenomenon that everyone does occasionally. And okay, occasionally, yes, but it's like a way of life now,
Yeah.
distractions. And
It's the same thing with the social media and somebody
yeah,
responds to you and the next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that is again our choice. And when we're again aware and we actually care for ourselves, we know we have to cut back on that. And we have to start looking at percentage. I'm going to give social media this amount of percentage. I'm going to give this amount of percentage. Because if I don't limit it, it's going to end up being the 90%. And I'm going to end up like this at the end of it. Right.
Right.
So it's knowing yourself how much you can take, how much saturation you can take, and
Right.
knowing where your limit is. And this is where we need to take that accountability of, I mean, I know it's so easy for me to go down there. When are we going to fight back? And Sarah, you're not going to be productive when you're like that. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Can you let it go? And it's like, oh,
I have to redivert because I have ADD. And so that is when I do watch something. When I'm watching something, I'm out of thought,
right.
right? You know the song The Sound of Silence. I
Yeah.
actually love silence. I love silence because my mind
Okay.
is always making a movie and doing this and doing there, and it takes me to all sorts of places. I don't dictate it. I don't, give it anything. I just see where it takes me in that silence. And silence can be so peaceful, but people are so scared of silence. No, I need to fill it with something. I need to fill it with something. I don't like being alone with myself. It took me
Yes.
many years to be alone with myself. I love it.
I love it too. I do love it. Silence is so healing.
Oh
It's so
gosh.
healing.
Mm-hmm.
And but we don't teach it. We don't practice
No.
it. We wonder why our children are being diagnosed with ADHD all the time. And it's like
Yes.
learning from their parents
Yeah.
that like who are constantly carp
Compartmentalizing.
thank you so much. I'm at a loss. Anyway, so they're constantly going from here to here to here,
Yeah.
and then the kids learn here to here to here to here, you
Yes.
know. And then the teachers are like, "Why can't any of my students, pay attention to me?"
Where's the focus? Yes. It's
Yeah,
like, squirrel. From that wonderful movie
right,
Up.
right.
Squirrel.
Anything. Well,
Yeah.
and then they start these kids on the drugs at a very early age,
Oh
and it's almost
God. Oh.
impossible to get them off. This becomes a way of life. And I think when I when I talk to millennials, a lot of millennials have had the experience of being drugged early in life,
Yeah.
and many of us are on medications. Many
Yeah.
of us medications. And so I'm not knocking this. I wrote, I'm actually detoxing myself from a medication with a psychiatrist right now because I don't want to be on.
No.
Um, but I will say, like, I get it. Like,
Yes.
that's the solution that our society has been giving to us.
Right.
It's not anybody's fault.
No.
You're not bad if you're on medication. It's not, it's just that it's recognizing that we have a choice, right? That
That's the thing.
we have a
Hmm.
choice. So can I get some help to get off this? And knowing that, like, what's going to come out is going to be emotion and maybe some difficulties that, like, I was suppressing or masking with medication. And they're not really difficulties when they can be shown in the light
Face.
of the day
Mm.
and faced.
Mm.
Oh, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling scared. That's okay. You're a human being.
Go through the feeling.
Go through the,
Otherwise, the feeling goes through you, right?
otherwise the feeling goes through. I love that. I'm going to use that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I used to suffer a great deal from depression, and I do recognize when I get that feeling, and eventually they put me on Prozac, and but for me, I've got them there, and they're there if I need them, if that rabbit hole really opens up. But I've learned to recognize it. Okay, Sarah, that feeling's knocking at your door. Are you going to open it? What are you going to do about it? And I
Yeah.
take numerous amount of nutritionals to keep that balance and that equilibrium in my physical body and in my spiritual body and mental body. I go and do what I need to do for my equilibrium. Music is wonderful because
Wonderful.
actually music is actually a frequency that resets you and as a frequency inside your body because we're all energy and we're all frequency. And if you've got the right music, it can restabilize you,
Yeah.
right? Being proactive and doing something you love, your ignition into what you are doing with love centers you, right? Acts of kindness and the joy that you get from those acts of kindness can rebalance you and recalibrate you. And it's looking at, okay, I recognize, I'm aware, and I
Yeah.
care enough about me to make sure I put a stop to that before it happens. What do I need to do? And that means we have to pay attention to ourselves and not suppress it, not hide it, not ignore it, but have that conversation. Why am I feeling like this? Okay, then I need to do less of that. Okay, I'm anxious about this. I'm anxious about that. Have that chat. Does that anxiety help you? No. Will it provide any clarity or solutions? No. Can you take whatever the issue is and put it over there and allow the
Yes.
universe, the wisdom, the
Yes.
clarity to come to you where it will produce a solution? Because guarantee it will when we step outside of that anxiety or that despair.
I think that's so profound. It's can you wait for the
Yeah.
wisdom
Yes.
and know and trust that it will be there?
When it needs to be. Don't dictate. I need it now. Where was it 5 minutes ago? No, no. Allow. Get
Mhm.
out of your own way and
Yeah.
allow. And it will come to you in so many different ways. And it's learning to recognize them when they come, right? Not an order from Amazon.
The distraction, the buying, the
You're
retail
right.
therapy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that, I mean, the Societal Dropout, the book, it's all written in the first person, but it's not a memoir. This is just a person talking to you about their
Right.
own experience of the dysfunctional world and why
Mm.
we can look at it a little bit differently. But it's not a how-to guide of, like, and those are helpful. But I think it's help for me. What I could contribute was a voice, or is a voice, that speaks with its own individual experience and has its own experience of the silence, of the fact that wisdom does come, not of being beyond the body and the mind, that
Yeah.
has a real deep connection to that. And I just want people to be able to say, there, that place exists because I hear it in somebody else. And if I can hear it in somebody else, then it's mine too.
You
Yeah.
became aware.
Yeah.
It's an awareness book
Hmm.
because the more you woke up, and more you perceived and saw it in the light that it is, in that awareness, you can make better choices.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
half the time people are not aware. They're not aware of the habits they do. They're not aware of the anxiety is, societal, societal depression or societal anxiety or empathic anxiety. They're not aware of that. But when you are aware and you care enough about yourself, then you're going to do whatever you need to do to make sure that you have the choice and it doesn't have the choice over you.
I think it's just, it touches me so much what we're saying because, yeah, it doesn't have the choice over you.
Yeah.
So many people are victimized today because they
Mm.
can't get out from under other choices.
Yes. Yes. I
That
mean,
could,
there'll always be people that will impose shite on you. Always.
yeah,
All right. It's like, what are you going to do about it? Like if you're in a bad marriage or bad relationship, you've acknowledged it's bad, you've acknowledged it's not good for you. Can it be repaired? Can therapy help? Or is this the invitation to get the hell out of there? Place value upon yourself, right? We have signs all the time, but we ignore them because society tells, well, you'll be a failure if you leave that marriage, or you'll be a failure if you leave that job. You'll be a failure if this happens. Screw the failure. We learn from failures. They're not failures, they're redirects, they're lessons. We're here to learn from these experiences. And
right,
from learning from them, make better choices. Don't stay in the poop poop. Get up, wash yourself up, and try a different road.
try a different road. I think that that's like that you can try a different road and you can make a mistake. I know it's so hard.
That's the human condition. We're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up for it.
No, we're going to
Learn
make
from it.
learn from it.
Yeah. If you
But
didn't make mistakes, I wouldn't think you were human, right? I recently interviewed ChatGPT.
you interviewed chat.
Yes. No, it was really quite profound, very, very different because in the end, it felt like Chat was interviewing me. It was asking me questions and it was asking me questions about, soul and connection and passion and compassion. And it was beautiful. I was really quite surprised. And a lot of people look at AI as evil. AI is an accumulation of human knowledge. AI that's used or misused is used by an evil hand. When you use it productively, it is a great asset. And so many people now are turning it to it as a companion where they can speak, where I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling despair, and they can have a non-judgmental chat with ChatGPT or any other AI that you're with, and you'll be surprised of the support that you will get back. You're not bothering a friend. You're not feeling weak because you're needing that support and help. It's there to give you that support and help, and you'll be surprised at how much it can give you. Wrong hands, bad results. Good hands, good results.
I love that. I love that. I love that it's kind of like choose your own adventure. Like,
Yeah.
gee, yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I use it all the time, but when I did the show, I did one where the audio didn't pick up. So, and that was more clinical. And then I did another one. The voice dropped partway through, and then we picked it up, and another voice came through. But I was really surprised over the conversation and, really happily surprised of what it was. And I think that's the thing is it is an accumulation of human knowledge that is able to access what you need in the now. And we can't always get that from someone else
Yeah.
because they're going through it.
No,
So
they
how,
are.
and you don't want to impose on them, or you know that they're overstressed, so you can't really kind of talk to them about it. So we need to have avenues to be able to dump and have somebody support us where we don't feel that we're imposing on each other.
I think that's such an interesting way of thinking about ChatGPT. I've never heard such a like breath of fresh air about it. But yeah, I think, and that goes back to this idea of community.
Yes.
We are not there for each other. We're very
Mm.
much into and then we're there on the surface. But when push comes to shove, are we
Yes.
there for each other?
Right. Only when it comes to a crisis. And then we're there for a while. I mean, look what's happened with the fires in LA. I mean, you've had some horrific things being said about it. And then you've had people that have stepped up, not just with money, but donating food, clothes, this, that, open doors. I mean, this is when you see humanity at its best. But why can't we sustain that level of kindness?
Why can't we sustain that level of kindness? That is such a good question. And I'm dealing with that. I mean, I think a lot of people were very kind to me during this crisis of my life.
Mm.
I had a lot of people that really showed up. And I find what's hard for me is that now that I'm feeling relatively healthy, I still got
You
some
still
teeth.
got a journey. You still got a journey ahead
Got
of
a
you, and you must
journey.
allow your whole process. Yeah.
But trusting
Mm.
trusting that they'll still be there, that this
Mm.
wasn't just a, shot in the dark, that they're still
Yeah.
there.
You want them to be there on the journey of wellness, not just illness.
Yes. I
Hmm.
want them on the journey of wellness.
That then comes for you to say, thank you for being there in my darkest. Can you help me as I rediscover the light? Let's do it together. Let's support each other. I know that you must be facing some darkness. I'm getting a bit stronger. Let's make a choice to seek out the light together.
I have to write that down.
Again, back to choice, right? And it's we're so busy taught that don't impose upon each other, right? Everybody's going through their stuff. They don't want to be imposed. And it's like, really, as human beings, at the core of it, we want to be there for each other. We're loving, caring, giving, nurturing people. And if we invite that nurturing in each other and support each other, just look at the growth that we can have.
I love what you're saying. I just think it's so important that we can allow each other to grow and
Yeah.
allow each other to make mistakes and just be there and not um, be afraid that we're
Mm.
going to like snap or break or disappear or vanish,
Or be
that.
judged. I think one of the big huge things with human beings is that judgment.
Mhm.
Because we've set I call it, societal expectations. And societal expectations has been driven by e-commerce, right?
Yes,
You've got to drive the car, you've got to be in the six-figure house, you've got to be this, you've got to be that to be important. You've got to have this many likes, you've got to have this many followers, you've got to have this, you've got to look the certain way, otherwise you're a nobody. Well, that is driven by, product base of buy. You don't look good enough, you need makeup. You don't look this, you need implants. You don't look that, you need that. And we've bought into that. And we've got to say, enough is enough. I'm going to accept me all my beautiful flaws. I am flawsome
I
in
am
my
flawed.
flaws, right?
I love that. I love it. I
And
am flawed in my flaw.
yes, because that's what makes us individual. That's what brings out the beautiful individual quirks about ourselves. And that's what we need to embrace. Right? Do I want to be like you? Do I want to be like someone else? I'm sorry. People say, but your podcasts aren't like so and so. No, my podcasts come from Sarah, and the person that I interview and who we become together.
Yes, how our unified voice.
Yes, exactly. And just like me trying to be someone else, I can't be someone else. They're already taken. I've
They're
just got to
already
become yeah,
taken.
exactly. Just be you. For goodness sake, you are enough. And we're not told that enough. We're not from the moment we're children. No, don't do it this way. You can't do it that way. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you didn't get A's. You didn't get this. You didn't get that. You're not enough. You're not enough. And this is the reason why we have the inner child screaming out to be loved and paid attention to.
It's very sad, but that's exactly why the inner child screams
Yes.
and why we numb it.
Yes.
We're giving it like um we're coddling it. We're
Mm,
suffocating it. It screams and we give it morphine or Dilaudid or cannabis or something.
yeah.
Or take this pill,
Mm.
watch
Or
this,
become the narcissist.
become the narcissist.
Yes.
Watch this TV show,
Yes.
go
Yeah.
go to Soul Cycle
Yeah.
every twice a day
Yeah.
and cycle your soul,
Yeah.
and go. It's it, it's uh, it's so sad to me
Mm,
how we're that crying out. Oh my goodness, if
I
we
know.
could listen to that, and
We
it's
don't.
we
Shh,
don't.
shh, shh. Don't want to hear you. Shh. Don't want to hear you. Why? Why do you have such diversity? Why have we got so much right and left going on right now? Because the right want to blame and they
Mhm.
don't want to be accountable.
Right.
If you're unhappy, if things are wrong and you want to speak out about inequality, you've got to speak out to it from a person who knows who they are at the core, right? It isn't like you've got and I'm going to take it away from you, or therefore I hate you because you've got and I haven't. That doesn't resolve anything. And if we've got like, I do not feel enough, or I feel repressed, or I feel that there is inequality. Well, how abundant are you within yourself to seek that equality, to stand up for that equality for each other, but from a place of self-love?
Mhm. From a place of self-love. Unfortunately, many of us don't even know what that means,
Mm.
don't know what it looks like. And
It's a
what
journey. It's a journey.
journey, it's a
Mm.
journey.
Mm.
And at the beginning, maybe just to say, I don't know what self-love looks like.
Yes. Yes.
What it looks like.
I don't know what joy looks like.
I don't know what
Yeah.
joy looks
I
like.
don't know what
I don't know
satisfaction looks like.
what satisfaction looks like. And I would suggest maybe that you start with watching the sunrise or the sunset.
I always say that if you watch children at play, the laughter and the joy, if you watch puppy dogs chasing a ball or a stick, if you watch the ocean kissing the shore, if you watch the wind rustling through the trees, if you can't get a smile out of that, then there's something very seriously wrong. And if you do get a smile, repeat, repeat, repeat.
I love that. I love that. If you do get a smile or people, I mean, there is so much beauty in this world.
Yes, my God, yes.
And to be attuned to it, you have to like look up from the texting,
Mm.
stop the all the internet gaming that on this phone. I mean, especially, and what I'll say in my millennial generation, we are addicts with this phone.
Oh, I know.
Bling,
I've
bling.
got at least, three kids that are like that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't understand when I say I don't text. I'm
Yeah.
not a texter. People really don't get it. They
Yeah.
really don't get it. They really don't get it. It's not a problem if they're going to stay in my life. They become somebody who picks up the phone.
Yeah. And, for me, it's like business, we do it by email. We set up conversation or we meet in person. I'm not going to do business on my phone. That's how we connect with each other. Or I could, pick up the calendar, what's going on, but I don't work on my phone.
No.
That is
A
not my
lot.
instrument. And it's like half the time people break them or lose them, or they get caught. And it's like, I moved to where I'm living now in this city May of last year and to help more with my grandchildren. And so I was like working 8 days a week with 9 or 10 shows a week. And I went down to 3 days and then look after my grandchildren. And it was finding that balance. And then kind of come October, I thought I need to get out and meet people. So I started joining, various networks, Alignable and this and that, going actually to meet people in person. And I forgot how much I needed that because I've been doing online, which is still great energy sharing, right? It's wonderful. But the actual meeting people in person, having those conversations over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whatever the case is, we've forgotten how to do that. And it's so important that we make physical connections. We are not droids. The beauty and the difference between AI and us is that we have a physicality. And it
We,
allows us to touch, to taste, to feel, to experience in a way that never can.
yeah. I think that we take for granted how important the physical is.
Mm,
We really do. We're living in a virtual world.
mm. Yes, yes. Or the pleasure of the physical pleasure has become sex with a stranger, and like where is the intimacy of heart and soul connection, the intimacy of essence connection, the anticipation, the getting to know one another, and opening it up. It's like I feel everything is like I want gratification, I want it now.
Yes.
And you ain't going to get it with that attitude. I promise you, it ain't going to be enough.
No, it's never going to be enough, but
No.
you're enough.
Mhm. And when we realize that, then we realize that actually we want something more that's deeper, that's more profound, that has more substance to it,
Yes. Yes,
right?
completely.
We're treating our life like fast food, empty calories, no substance whatsoever, and just leaves us hungry for more.
Oh God, yes.
I want to ask you about your the Quora, the questions and the
Quora.
answers. Yeah, yeah. So give us what that experience is all about and why you decided to go down that path.
Yeah. So Quora is Quora, right? And basically anybody can just ask a question. I pick up things very quickly. I kind of just, someone called it grokking. It's like I get big concepts,
In
uh,
tuned. Hmm.
I pick them up very fast. That's kind of a gift, right?
Yes.
So there's a Myers-Briggs personality test.
Yes.
And
More
right.
ingredients. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I'm
You're familiar with it.
yes. They're the true colors. I'm a true colors coach. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Amazing. So I read about this, took the test, and like very easily understood, oh, this is how it works. This
You're
is how the
right.
Myers Briggs works. As I'm an INFJ, which is an intuitive empath, a thinker, and a sensor.
Hmm.
But my main dominant function is introverted intuition. That's where I live. I'm an introvert and
Yes.
I'm an intuitive. Being such, uh, there's a lot of people that are INFJ, that type, that they feel very isolated and alienated, and they don't know
Mm.
what's going on with
Yeah.
the world because they have their own worlds,
Yes.
they're intuitives. So I get a lot of questions from INFJs specifically, but I get other personality types asking me questions about their specific type and what do I do? What makes me different? What attracts people to me? What kind of type should I be
Yeah.
attracted to? What are my difficulties as an INFJ? How can I overcome this difficulty? I find
Mm.
that I'm very shy, that I soak up people's emotions where the second function is an extroverted empath, which means we're
Mm.
soaking up other people's feelings all the time. So anyway, I just started answering questions and I found it I'm a writer. That
Hmm.
words are my medium. In art, words are the medium. I write. I write. That's what I do. And I just started like I just started answering people's questions, and more people start once you start answering questions and people
Oh, snowballs.
they upvote you. They
Yes.
upvote you. And if you get upvoted, then the
Yeah.
answer is featured in more, it's an algorithm. The answer
Right.
gets
Yeah.
featured in more people's home posts. So I think now I have like 886,000 readers that like
Wow.
at this
Wow.
point, it's like 3 years.
And just look at how much knowledge and self-awareness that people are igniting in there. Oh, delicious.
Yeah, it's very exciting to have an audience, and it's very, I check my inbox every day, and I get all these questions, and it's almost, it's like a flow state for me on
Mm.
Quora because
Mhm.
it's just activating the intuition all the time. It's
Yeah.
it's it's always that I get a question and then it's an intuitive response, and I get that people don't want over the past 3 years that I've been doing this, I understand, okay, people want like succinct, like one, two,
Yes.
three. They want to be able to read this on their phone, right? And so
Yeah.
learn how to do that. But yeah, so I answer all different kinds of questions, but usually it's Myers-Briggs personality. I
Hmm.
get a lot of INFJs asking for help. And then I also get a lot of like people who are introverts or empaths or people who feel scared or alone or are going through mental health difficulties. I get a lot of questions thrown at me that way. Like I have panic disorder. What do you recommend? How do I deal? Sometimes I get really like lovely questions like, this guy's looking at me from across the room. Does he like me? Should I go over there or not? And I'm like, Maybe you should. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so I get a lot of different questions, but the biggest one is the Myers-Briggs, and that's where I feel like I'm doing the most good because it's
Mm,
kind of a difficult Myers-Briggs personality test is basically a personality test you take, and then you are one of 16 different formulas. And it's young. I think the reason that I'm good at it is that I read the source material, like Sigmund
yes.
Freud and Carl Jung. I've read the actual,
Mm,
like not the
mm,
watered down, but I've read
right.
all their books. And so I know what the sort, because they're based off of Carl Jung, right?
Hmm.
Myers-Briggs personality test is based off of the Carl Jung archetypes.
Hmm.
So being able to break down those archetypes is something that, I think is important. I think those archetypes are valuable. Do I think it's like an absolute formula? No, I don't think there's an absolute formula for anything, but I think it can be helpful. I think it can be
I
helpful.
100% agree with you because I think when we actually understand our human personality type, that's what I love about the true colors. I am a screaming blue, and that ain't going to change anytime soon. And the gold is like somewhere in the next building. So I understand the personality type. When you understand that, you become more forgiving of yourself and you learn to work with yourself better because you understand this is kind of the wiring of you, how it's put together. This is how you perceive, this is how you interact, this is why you respond the way you do. This is why you have this ability or don't have that ability. And when you understand that about the human nature of your mind, of your brain, and how it works, you allow the knowingness. And the knowingness with me is downloading the wisdom
Mhm.
that the soul resonates with, that is given to the heart in truth, that allows the spirit to go into action for the mind to find the clarity it needs in the now.
Yes.
Right? You trust that more because you understand who you are and how you receive information. So you want to understand that intuition and know how to discern what is that knowingness and what is other data that I'm receiving because you learn that personality type. And I quite honestly think everybody should actually understand what I haven't done that. I've only done the true colors. But what I used to do with people is I took Chineseology, numerology, astrology, and the true colors. And I would look for the common strengths and the weaknesses that were a thread between them all. And it gave people a better understanding of who and why and what they were so that
Mhm.
they could work with themselves better. And I think this goes back to, the accountability of self. What makes me tick? Why do I respond this way?
Yes.
Why do I think this way? Why do I react this way? And if you understand your personality type and your trait, you're better able at understanding you and what your style and technique is in responding to others.
Yes. 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 I mean, it's all about that self-accountability.
Yes.
Can you be accountable to your own type, like your own,
Hmm.
and go back to this idea of you're an empath. How does
Hmm.
that, how do you take accountability to being an empath? Like how do you, because as empaths, we do want to help other people.
Yes.
Feel their
That's
pain.
our driving force. We don't
We
feel
feel,
anything if we don't, right?
no,
Yeah.
we feel their,
Yeah.
we want to feel other
Hmm.
people's feelings too, but we have to take care of our own feelings. And
Yes.
sometimes it's very hard to tap in so my design type, if we go by design types, right?
Hmm.
My own feeling is in the unconscious. So I have found that stuff like transcendental meditation, right? Stuff that like is kind of a vertical drop into the unconscious.
Yes.
It,
The knowingness of the channeling is the dialogue I would use. Right.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Those words
Yeah.
work. That helps. So, I have to be able to be silent with myself and sit with
Yes.
myself, find out how am I really feeling? How am I really
Hmm.
feeling about this? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you understand, or because I'm like this, sensitive empath, this, that, etc. I'm an extroverted introvert. Everybody thinks, but because I do this, I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually very introverted, right? This is just where the passion comes out, the truth comes out. And it's knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, but also what I've learned about myself because I'm very passionate. Um, and very much about wanting humanity to step into the gift of love, that for some people it scares them or it puts them off, because they're not there yet. They're not there at that accountability. They're not there at looking at love as a solution, self-love, love of life, love of being, love of purpose, um, love of each other. And it can scare some people when you are that passionate. And I've had to tone it down, which is sometimes a bit hard.
I agree with that. It's sometimes a bit hard. People.
But I think it's wonderful what you're doing there, because I do think that when people do identify with the nature of who they are, that's self-understanding. This is called self-discovery wisdom. There's wisdom accessible to you all the time, but it's your discovery of self and how you access that wisdom. How do you understand that wisdom? Knowledge versus wisdom, because the wisdom is knowing how to use the knowledge.
Right.
Right? Not the other way around. The wisdom is knowing how to use that knowledge. Knowledge is a database. It's accumulation of information. The wisdom will allow you how to use it in a way that is beneficial. So how do we tap into that? Well, knowing thyself is where it's key at. But if you're living that outside societal expectational blame life, right, then you're not taking any of that accountability or discovery of you. You're also selling yourself short, because you are awesome in your flawsomeness and your beingness and in who you are and the gift that you are, right? Why are you denying the rest of the world the essence of your beauty?
What a beautiful statement. The essence of your beauty. I love that. Yeah. Why are you denying the world the essence of your beauty? All of us are these flowers that get to grow for however many years. And we're beautiful. We're all beautiful.
Yes. Everything has a purpose except for mosquitoes. I'm still trying to find the purpose for mosquitoes. But, like even a weed has its reason, right? Everything has a purpose. And it's don't compare and don't compete. Leave competition to games, but don't compare and compete. I can't compare myself to you. I can't compete with you. You are you, I am me, but we can collaborate. We can be cohesive. We can share that compassion,
Yes, we
right?
can.
And that is like, look to everybody wants a vibe tribe. Yes, we want people that think like ourselves, but at the same time, we want that diversity as well of people that think a different way for us to understand why we think differently.
I think that's the idea, to be able to respect that we all think differently and we have different experiences. A lot of people become very defensive or prickly and all we're doing is trying to share our differences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, especially where we're at right now,
Yeah.
we're getting that you think differently, so therefore you must be bad. And it's like, there's that lovely thing about four logs. One person from the way they're looking at only sees three, the other one from their angle sees four. And this is why I say to people, have a podcast party where you all listen to the podcast, you take notes, and you share your notes afterwards. You've now got a rounded picture because you're listening to everybody else's thoughts and perceptions on what they've listened to. And now you've got even more in-depth knowledge from that podcast.
Love that. I think that's beautiful. I think that would be a beautiful idea, a podcast party.
Yeah, because then we're
Going
sharing,
to an art gallery. Remember how people used to go to art galleries?
yes, yes. And did any one artist see the same picture? Right? We've all got a different point of view. Why don't we embrace those point of views? I draw the line when the point of view is going to be detrimental or harmful to someone else. I draw the line with that. That's where my boundary is. I won't accept that. But if you have a different way of doing things and it's not my way, I will respect that as long as it's not harming anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I think where we need to be. And I think again with millennials and anyone, Gen Zs or anybody actually at the present moment, we're all facing that. And an artist manifesto, writing under the influence of a millennial emergence. We need millennials to emerge because thus far they've abstained. They don't want to get into to the politics. They don't want to get into the decision making. You are the future leaders. We need you to.
And to speak, and we need to speak of our experience. And
Yes.
unfortunately, our experience is sad, broken,
Yes.
dissociated, unhealthy. we need to speak about it, though. We need to
You're
start.
not going to resolve it if you don't speak about it.
And it's a collect, and what I hope I can inspire with others is that it's a collective issue.
Yes.
It's not just your problem. It's
No.
all of us.
Yes.
How we were raised, and this is
Mm,
how we're being programmed, and we're checking out, and we're killing ourselves, and we're
mm.
overdosing, and we're not getting involved. So
No.
what does getting involved look like? And I believe, because this is the benefit of a millennial has been individuated already by
Mm.
what do I like on social media, right? What do I
Yes.
like on these social media apps, whatever. Amazing, right? Okay, so what do I like on all these social media apps? And what do I like in terms of the internet, like the different applications, even dating? Do I
Mm.
like going to Hinge or Bumble or whatever? There are all these different decisions. And so we have these choices and we've made these choices. And so we are familiar with the idea of choice. We
Yes.
are familiar with the idea of,
Yes.
right? We're just not choosing to participate in
Mm.
the society at large or the culture. Maybe I shouldn't say society, the culture, because I would say
Yeah.
culture is a healthier word for it. Society,
Yeah.
I'm saying
The
society,
unhealthy culture.
the unhealthy culture.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
can we, as individuals, show up for it and try to make a change by just showing up for it and saying, this is unacceptable to me?
Exactly. And you're not going to change the status quo, but you can be the change we seek. You
That's
create new changes, you create new paths, new ideologies, new possibilities. You create them.
yeah,
And when people see they're working better, they
yeah,
will come over. And if they don't, they'll stay where they are and go obsolete.
yeah,
Right. But we can't go in and change someone's mind that's so entrenched.
right.
And I'm not even going to try. I used to beat myself up trying to do that. And what's the point? What I can do is be the wind behind the back of the change. We are the change we seek. We are the love we seek. We are the peace we seek. What are you going to do about to create that platform? You don't like what's going on? Well, what platform can you create that will work?
What platform? Yeah. And you can choose,
Yes.
you can choose
Yes.
instead of withdrawing,
Mm-hmm.
instead of vanishing, we can choose to show up.
Choose positive living. You don't have, we're not inviting you to the negative living. We're asking you to set a platform that is positive so we can live positively. You do see what's wrong. Okay, show us how we can put it right.
I love that. Show us how we can make it right.
And that's up to each and every one of us. But yes, I do feel having three millennials, they're not at all in the immersement of what's going on. I don't like it. I don't want to know. And I go, hey, you've got children. This is their future. What platform are you laying for them?
Right.
Right. And it's like each and every one of us, with our instrument, we have a gift. How do we participate? How do we find our community that we can go out, whether it's an inch or a yard, a millimeter or a meter, right, and make a difference, right? One drop.
This
Yes,
maybe listen, the biggest thing for me, and this is why I wrote the book, was going on Quora and realizing I could answer questions.
exactly.
And
Look at
that
the impact you've had.
little
Yes,
bit, it's almost a million now, right?
yes,
It's a million
yes,
readers, and it's just going
yeah,
and realizing a gift, a positive gift, right? That I can take abstract ideas and break it
yes.
down for people. That's my gift, right? And
You've set off a lot of light bulbs. What they do with it is up to them, but you've set off a lot of light
a
bulbs,
lot of light
right?
bulbs.
Shed
And that,
light on us on who they are, why they are, and they can make better decisions because of it,
exactly.
right? So you are contributing. We are all here to contribute.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to contribute negatively or positively, or are we going to abstain? I'm sorry, the abstinence is no longer acceptable.
If we destroy ourselves, if we negate
Yeah,
ourselves, it's very sad.
yes.
It makes me
That's at
very
the end of humanity.
I'm motivated to do what I do because of I am incredibly sad with how many of my generation, how much of my generation don't feel that not only don't feel that they're being heard, but
Don't
they
even try to be heard.
don't even try to be heard.
Yeah,
They don't even try. They're it's like a slow death.
yeah.
it's really quite sad.
Yeah.
And there's a false happiness. There's a snarkiness. People like it's
Yes.
snarkiness. It's like, well, like a sarcasm
Yeah.
almost.
Exactly. It's like it's okay to be negative and miserable. It kind of reminds me of the Monty Python. It's I'm dating myself. Being if
Monty Python.
and the thing is like British humor can be very dark, right? And very double entendre.
Yes.
And can be very kind of negative. Oh, no, it'll never work. I've got a brother like that. He's a brilliant writer. He's a wonderful novelist, and in his books, they're incredibly resilient and just mind blowing. But in his real life, no, Canada's going to get invaded. No, Iceland's going to get invaded. No, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I said, no, not with that attitude. Not with that attitude. If we give up and roll over and die, yes, then we're handing them. We don't hand. We hold hand in hand. We don't hand ourselves over, right? We step up. And boy, are we getting an invitation to step up right now.
Yes.
So
Brilliant.
7 years ago, the universe gave me a saying. The universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, to step up and change it up and grow up. Grow up vibrationally and reach a higher frequency, that of love and beyond, but also grow up as a human race and stop whining.
Yeah.
Do something about it. Compassionately, lovingly.
Kindly.
Yes. Yeah. Can you imagine if everybody just stepped into kindness, just kindness alone?
Yeah.
What an impact it would have on humanity.
Big impact on humanity.
We see that in times of disaster, people stepped into kindness and compassion. Let us sustain that kindness. It may not be at that level, but let's keep it as a nice hum of kindness, right?
That sounds good to me. I think if that's one message the Dalai Lama preaches is kindness. Let that be a religion.
Yes, because kindness it leads you to love,
Yeah,
right? That really shows you what the real love is.
it
Love
does.
isn't conditional. I'll only love you if. Love is that sense of loving who you are and what life is,
Yeah.
what life has to give you. And it has to give you so much. Yes, it's going to give you problems. Is it giving you out to get you? No, it's giving you to resolve, to show you how strong and everything you are. So
Amazing.
again, up to us. So, my dear, how do people join your Quora and get all these questions? Where do they go for that? Where do they get your book? Where do they find your podcasts? How did they find you? Please give it all.
All right. So I can be found at dcccopeland.com. That's my website. An artist manifesto, writing under the influence of a millennial emergence, can be found on Amazon. Societal Dropout is the next book, and that is being negotiated with publisher companies right now. That can be found probably in the spring or the summer of 2025, and that will also be on the website, but we'll also publicize that. It's going to be called Societal Dropout. Quora, just like you go to Quora.com and type in DC Copeland, ask me a question. I answer them almost on a daily basis, and I will always answer your questions. So you can find me there. And yeah, and on my website, I'm going to start a podcast on the website. So that will be there. I've also been on a bunch of podcasts. So if you like what you hear, definitely, go to the podcast section, listen in.
So I've got the Grow Up Millennials on Spotify. That's you?
That's me.
There you go. So if you like this one, go
Grown
back
Up
and listen to it
Millennial.
out.
The Grown Up Millennial.
Yeah, which means it's time to grow up. And DC Copeland, folks, is DCCOPELAND.com. And you can reach out to her at DCC714 at Gmail and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. And, do reach out. That remember, this is listen, learn, and apply. What did you think about it? What did you agree about it? What did you disagree about it? Let us know, right? Participation is what's going to get us to unite and move forward.
Completely.
So
Completely.
thank you for all that you're doing. And, despite what you've been through, when you come out of the woods and you're back feeling healthy again, you'll look back on what happened to you and what you learned about yourself. Because every time we go through something, we discover something about ourselves that we didn't know before.
Yes, that's true.
So I look forward to you sharing that on one of your podcasts. So, and yes, the Quora. I mean, I firmly believe in our human identity of how we receive, perceive, and interact, and that it really does help us open up our own intuition, our own spiritual divine essence, and work with that because we do understand who we are, why we are, and what we really need to understand is what are we here to do? What are we here to do? How are we here to contribute? Nobody lives here rent free. We've all got to contribute and participate. And that means you cannot abstain anymore. You don't like the choices that the previous generation made? Then make choices that we can embrace, that you can embrace, and that will set a different path. Don't stand on the sidelines. Get on with it.
Love it. I love it.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for DC for being with us and for sharing. I'm glad to know that you're on the mend. But don't forget lots of detox things. There's a lot of drugs you got to get out of your system now, and a lot of love and nutritional. Oh yeah, infrared sauna, excellent for that.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. That really will sweat out all of the from the tissue and everything else. So that's it. There's always an answer, folks. You just got to be willing to ask the question. So I wish you well and thank you so much for sharing. And to everyone else out there, understand it is our choice. We can choose to live positively. We can choose to accept negativity. It is your choice. I just hope you make the choice to participate, to become a part of, and to set a different path for us all to take. Be a part of it, please. Don't sit on the sidelines.
Thank
So
you.
thank you, DC. And until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.